Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I have yet another movie review. This movie is a horror film from Austria, German language English subs, released in the year 2014, directed by Severin Fiala and Veronica Franz, and this film is called Goodnight Mummy. So Goodnight Mummy is set in rural Austria. You've got this big house that is owned by a mother, and she has two sons that are identical twins. So the mother gets back from surgery one day, she's got bandages all over her face, and straight away the encounters between herself and her children are very aggressive. So this leads the children to believe that this is not in fact their mother, and that something has happened to the mother, and that this is an imposter. So they're going to try and prove their point right, and at the same time the mother is getting increasingly more aggressive, and she's going to prove once and for all that she is their mother. So the encounters go back and forth, and they all get out of hand eventually and goes down a very deep and dark road. So what that road is, something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Goodnight Mummy. This movie captivated the world, the internet, by the trailer. A lot of people are saying this is the scariest trailer ever made, and a lot of expectations were made because ultimately it was a very good trailer. It was doing everything that a trailer should do, but unfortunately for me, I felt that this movie is going to mislead a lot of people, and that a lot of people are going to come away from this film feeling as though they're being cheated, because the movie, it advertises a very scary film, but this movie is not so much a scary movie. It's not a jump scare movie. It's not a movie that is going to haunt you. It's a movie that makes you feel very uneasy, and I will say that the movie, it does exactly what it wants to do. And basically what it wants to do is to make the viewer very uncomfortable. Atmospherically, this is a very, very good film, and I think it's by far the best part of the movie is that there's a strong, tense quality to it that is very reminiscent of Michael Haneke. If you're familiar with Michael Haneke films, he does something in a very boring way, but it's also very creepy. It's just the way he captures his side of thrillers that is very unique. And so this movie, it kind of feels like in some areas it's paying homage to Michael Haneke. And if you like that style of filmmaking, I think you're going to really enjoy Goodnight Mummy. So the acting was very good. The kids were very eerie, and so was the mother. There's a strong level of mystery. You don't know whether the kids are onto something or if they're just overreacting, and that sense of uncertainty is what is the driving force of the film. But unfortunately, with the plot, there is a major problem that I have that I'll go into a little bit later. But I really like the way that the storytelling was done. I thought that it doesn't explain everything at the start, so it actually feels like you're realistically joining this family on one particular day. And in realism, this family don't have to explain everything because they already know it. So as the movie goes along, it naturally unfolds and it naturally tells you what's happening. So you feel like you can connect to these guys because you've gone along and you're a part of the family, that you're, their brother, or you're this female's husband. You're part of the family because you actually feel like they're not explaining everything and dumbing everything down to the point where you're watching a film. So that way of storytelling, it has a very slow build-up, but I thought the build-up was very necessary, and it utilised every opportunity it had to create just a solid base for something horrendous that happens in the last act. And I thought that the last act and the rest of the film, they combine very well, and it makes it a very rewarding taste that you have, because you feel as though the build-up was all worth it, and that was going to surprise you and going to reward you for sticking with it. So I really like the way the story was told, and I love the cinematography. This is an absolutely beautiful film to look at. Once again, very eerie. I thought they utilised the setting very well. It felt very isolated. It felt like there was no help around for ages. The script was very good. As I said, it was all very subdued. It wasn't cueing when you should feel scared. It wasn't trying to dictate to the viewer what they should be feeling. It allows the viewer to make up their own conclusions. So it's a very European film. I thought that some of the sequences at the end of the film were truly horrible, horrifying, horrible in a good way, in that it was just very painful, and I wasn't expecting that. So that's something, again, I really, really liked, and I liked the way that the film finished. But unfortunately for me, there is a big problem with Goodnight Mummy, and that problem comes in at the predictability of a certain plot point. Now, there is something that happens at the end that I could tell straight away was going to happen, so it does lessen the impact a little bit. I thought if that wasn't so obvious so early on, it would have kept that nature of unpredictability and would have hit you very hard. And although the movie still hit you hard, it would have been even better if this certain plot point was kept under wraps. But I felt that it was just too obvious at the start, and so you're bracing for impact. You're being prepared for the stunning sort of revelation. And when you already know that it's going to happen, it does take a little of the suspense away. And that, to me, it dampened the film a little bit. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. This is typical European horror. And if you're a fan of that sort of stuff, in particular the way Michael Haneke does his films, then I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of Goodnight Mummy. So overall, pushing aside the problems, it is a movie that I highly recommend. Go out there and see it. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.